Welcome back to the Innovative Agency, everybody. Sharon Torek here with you. And I love an encore guest. I really, really do, especially when we've got a fresh take on something that agency leaders and owners need to be thinking about. And I can't think of a better time, Mandi Ellefson from Hands Off CEO, to be talking about profit and scaling and looking at the profitability of your business. And last time, just to refresh the recollection of everybody listening, next time Mandi came on the show, we talked all about how to scale and take yourself as an owner out of the day to day and free yourself up to scale the growth and in whatever way, whatever that means for you. I want to talk about your clients today. And really, I'm so grateful to Mandi for being available today to talk about the value of the client relationship. And that sounds simple, but I think a lot of agency owners think about value in terms of what the monthly recurring revenue looks like or how big the size of a contract might be. But I think we think less about, and we should be thinking more about, what is the actual lifetime value of that relationship? And how can you truly maximize the profitability of the relationship? And so, Mandi has an expertise in this area that I am so excited to share with you today. So, first of all, Mandi Ellefson, thank you for being available and coming back on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. Sharon, it's such a pleasure, and I always enjoy our conversations.
Me too. Me too. So, all right, let's maybe start at some low-hanging fruit here. What do you think agency owners or leaders who are, in the thick of either business development or client service decisions, what do you think they miss most often in terms of how they're thinking about profitability of a particular client relationship?
Well, I think that they're looking at all the wrong metrics, and they're one of the biggest problems is they're thinking about it within their own perspective and their own context rather than what the client actually cares about.
Hmm.
And how you and one of the things that we see all the time, and when I do speaking engagements and workshops with other agencies and service-based firms, is that there's a very big disconnect between the way that they buy services and the they invest in their company and the way that they sell their services to their prospects and clients.
Oh,
So um because when I have this conversation, I'm like, you're sitting here evaluating whether this is a good option for your company or not. What do you actually want to know? Well, you want to know, if I make this investment, how much money am I going to get out of this? If I make this investment, how soon will I see results? What is the risk? How do we, is the reward going to be higher than the risk? And there's all these decisions that are being made behind the scenes that they're not even conscious that are happening. And what's going on is that prospects will go and visit a LinkedIn profile or a website, and it will be all about, it's a very selfish focus, like, this is what we do, this is our service, that this is about us, this is about our mission. And just like, nobody freaking cares about you. No one cares. They don't care about your service. I'm sorry to break it to you.
yeah.
All the prospect cares about is, this is my problem right now. This is what I'm trying. How are you going to be able to help me solve that?
Hmm.
Um, this is what I want to get to in my company. I'm looking for resources that's going to help me get there more efficiently. And if you're not showing up and having those type of conversations, then what's going to happen is that you're going to be shoved, your services are always going to be shoved into their budgets. What's going to happen is that you're going to be pushed down to, we talked about this when you were on my podcast. You had a great interview, Sharon. Really appreciate that.
Thank
And
you.
we were talking about how they're having a lot of conversations with agencies specifically. They're doing overflow work for the marketing department, and
Hmm.
but they're not getting access to the C-suite. And the reason why is because the conversations that they're having is not worthy of the CEO's time and attention.
Interesting.
So you need to be able to, so what they're missing, to answer your question, is they're missing how to be able to position what we're doing, our services, not actually as services anymore, but how do we position this as a most important conversation for these C-suite executives to be prioritizing this week?
Mhm.
And when you do that, you stop getting passed over, you stop getting pushed down into these teeny tiny budgets, and you start being seen as a real growth partner for these companies.
All right, so that is great groundwork. I want to ask you about this concept you define as seeking profit sweet spot clients for agencies. So, what does that mean, first of all? Why is it important to agencies? And how do you find these profit sweet spot clients? Because you're just taking it out a step or two. Your theory, as I understand it, is that these are the types of clients that have a much greater and exponentially larger lifetime value for the agency if you can find them. So, first of all, what are they? And where do we find them?
Okay, great question. So here's the thing, is that we're not, to be able to find these profit sweet spot clients, you have to first to uncover your invisible advantage. And your invisible advantage is what you do under a certain set of conditions that allows you to deliver just absolutely incredible results and transformations. So we need to really uncover what that is and who you deliver your best results for and under what conditions. And if you don't, if you go and try to go and find these everyone's always looking at where do I find these great clients? Well, here's the thing, is that you have to be able to first position yourself as a valued contact for these profit sweet spot clients.
Mhm.
They might even already be clients that you have right now. And they have said, this is all the budget we have for you. They have way more budget. They're just not willing to give it to you because you haven't been able to demonstrate yet a bigger vision. So, so to answer your question, you have to first find your invisible advantage, and we can talk about how to find that if you want to.
Mhm. Well, I do want to talk about that in a second, but what I'm curious about as I hear you talking about this is, do you have a point of view on whether an agency is more likely to find a profit sweet spot client in organically amongst its current roster of clients? Or do you feel like agencies usually need to be recruiting them as new clients through their business development efforts?
Okay, so it's usually a combination of both. There's
Okay.
some agencies that they may have a portfolio of so many bad fit clients that they just brought on from maybe they were having tough times, and there's a lot of ill fit clients that some of them will just never become profit sweet spot clients. And some of those clients might actually be not profitable, and they're cash flowing in the company, but it's not actually profitable in the company,
Mhm.
if they're being honest. But a lot of times, though, we find that when you're clear on what conditions you need to have in place to deliver your best results, you can turn the same clients into profit sweet spot clients. Let me give you an example. So Christy has she had an SEO agency that she has an SEO agency doing work for therapists. So we do SEO for therapists, and she was very nervous about charging more because she was already finding that at the price point they were having, they were already, clients would cancel after a certain number of months because they hadn't seen results, because SEO takes a while to be able to see the full results. That's part of the problem, is that you have, your clients don't see the full impact of the results, and you have to be able to help them see big enough wins up front that they're going to be able to see you all the way through and set the expectation. And so she was really nervous about charging more, but once she actually got clear on who the profit sweet spot client was, which actually was really close to what she had, like they were therapists, but they were therapists that they could deliver a minimum of $500,000 of growth year over year.
Okay.
new additional costs. And that's just where she started. She actually can deliver millions of dollars of value, but that's just where she felt confident doing it right there. So we worked with where she was at on that. And when she understood that, like, these are the conditions that we need to have in place in order for us to be able to confidently add at least $500,000 of new patients every year, then she couldn't unsee it. And she realized that all of her clients were like that. She had to be insisting upon these new standards, these new conditions for all of her clients.
Mhm.
And she recognized that if we just tweak these things that we're doing right now with our service already, just a different intention slightly, then we will be able to 10x the results for our clients very consistently.
Mhm.
So what she did, we didn't tell her to do this. She just went and all of her clients, she increased their price up 250% right off the bat. She did that because she
Oh,
saw this, she couldn't unsee it, and she realized that, like, these clients are our capacity in my company. I know we're going to be adding this amount of value, and for you to take a spot in one of these markets, you have to be paying this minimum amount. We're just not willing to do it for any less. And
wow. So wait a minute. She did this with her existing clients or just the new
existing
business?
clients,
Oh my
her,
gosh. That's a
I
big
know,
swing.
I'm telling you, we didn't tell her to do this. We would recommend you creating a list of your top clients that you could go and say, hey, I have another idea. I see this opportunity for you to for us to create this next result in the next 12 months. I'd like to recommend that we do this instead. And then that justifies the price point, right?
Yeah.
Um, but a lot of times what happens is that, and by the way, she's now selling it for like over 3 times the price for new clients, right?
I
And
mean, respect. That's guts and grit, right? To go for it with your existing clients rather than
I
to,
know
yeah.
it. I know it, but what usually happens though is you go and you make a few new sales, and you're
Right.
like, oh my gosh, that was way easier than anything I've done in the past. Why are we continuing to do this with this is insane. You start seeing
Right.
like your bottom 10, 20% of your clients and saying, this is not sustainable. We're not doing this. And those tend to either get upgraded or saying, I'm just going to replace this client because they're a pain in the butt. Uh,
Right.
Ray, agency owner, same thing. They just started replacing all their lower end clients because when they started seeing, like, this is a $200,000 deal we just closed, and it was easier than ever. Then the clients were like, this is exactly what we're looking for. This is better laid out than I've ever seen. Like we're gonna go find the budget for this. Like, those are the type of conversations. And when you have like that, builds your confidence in selling. And then
Mhm.
when you go back to your clients, you can look at that, and how you show up with your clients is very different.
Okay. All right. So let's recap for a second. So finding that profit sweet spot opportunity, either with an existing client or a potential new client, comes down to really distilling your unique advantage as an agency and getting realistic and in some cases outright brave about the market value of that unique advantage and then folding that into your agency's business model so that you are only working with the clients that can generate that kind of lifetime value for your agency. Do I have it right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Where do agency owners start and or get the grit to do that? Because that is simple yet not easy at the same time, right?
Exactly, you're right. And you said, like you said, you used the word brave. That's exactly what it takes to be brave. And I think one of the biggest things is first seeing some case studies of other companies that have done this successfully.
Mhm.
That's why, like, our podcast focus on the hands-off CEO is actually sharing those case studies of people that have done this, so that it emboldens the CEO who's looking at and saying, you know what, like, this makes me really nervous, but like, I can do this because this company looks a lot like ours. We're having the same kind of challenges. I can do this. And when they see these companies be able to charge twice as much, 3 times as much, oftentimes for very similar work, or, an increased scope. But sometimes what's happening is that the scope the scope on a lot of projects just kind of gets expanded. And you're having all sorts of scope creep to be able to show value to clients that they're
Mhm.
not paying for.
Okay.
And you can instead actually just get paid for that and paid a lot more for that. But you have to be willing to be bold and to stand out. Everybody says they want to stand out until you actually talk about what it takes to stand out.
Right. No, I agree. I agree. Yeah, like I said, simple, not easy. They're not the same thing. Do you feel like one of the reasons, and maybe this is a mindset question more than it is a numbers or a metrics question, but do you feel like agencies don't, they're not brave enough to step into these potential profit leaks, um, or these margin reducers, if you will, because they're not willing to commit to focusing on their unique zone of genius? Is that, I mean, is that kind of where it starts?
I think what it is that that agency owners are just, they're just so behind the eight ball. They have so many things coming at them, and
Mhm.
they're in a reactive place. And a lot of them are just so tired. It's
Yeah, I
it's
know.
it's
I
in the
think we have to own that. I do. I think we have to acknowledge that. And, I'm really glad you said that because they are behind the eight ball and they are tired. And it gets harder to be brave
well,
when
and
that
if
sets in.
and if I may say so, like the agency model is just a garbage business model. I'm just gonna say it.
Yeah.
It's a really difficult business model. And what we're essentially doing when we're helping people uncover their invisible advantage is once it is in moving from, we're doing this agency work where like you give us a task and we do it. And here's the billable hours that we do this as, um, to this is the problem set that we solve for these type of companies. And building out your company based upon that. And it's a completely different business model. It doesn't change a lot. Like a lot of the internal workings in the business stay the same. But
Hmm.
when you have that different focus, then your team starts to be focused on delivering outcomes rather than deliverables and checking off the boxes. And what that means is then you're not having to come in and check the work because they're focused on the right thing. They're having the right conversations with clients. You're not being brought into all these fires where they checked off the boxes, but they didn't get the result.
Hmm.
The biggest reason why I see CEOs get pulled into it. So anyway, they're stuck in this business model that that technology is becoming is making become more and more irrelevant, more and more commoditized, and there's more competition. There is inflation. There are just the market and buyers see the value differently because of all these different factors. They're getting less referrals. It's just a really tough place to be. So what they're focused on, like, we need sales. We're going to do sales. We're going to build our pipeline, sales, sales, sales. And they're missing out on what the root cause issue is because no one's really talking about the root issue. More people are starting to talk about offers, but it's easier than ever to build an offer. I can go on AI right now and say, this is what we do, build me a really compelling offering that our clients will love. And they can build this compelling offering. It can be very outcome oriented, but that doesn't mean that's going to like one, feel good for the CEO, feel like that's not even what we do. Um,
Yeah.
there or it's going to feel confident, they're going to feel confident selling it. And that's a lot of what we do in this 12-week process in finding invisible advantage is actually helping our CEOs go through that mindset work. Like you're saying, it's like feeling really confident in a bigger bolder stand for their company and being able to really articulate what they can actually do under the best circumstances. Not even what they've done in the past. What that's helpful to know that. But
Hmm.
what can you do under your best circumstances? So then you actually build a business around real true excellence rather than just delivering on deliverables, which is a commodity.
That is a really fascinating way to think about it. What can we achieve for you under the best circumstances?
Right.
And it is not because agencies are typically being brought, not typically, frequently being brought into the fray when the brands that they're working with have like a problem or a deficit to dig out of, right? And so they may automatically be walking into a situation where conditions are suboptimal. Business conditions are suboptimal for the client, for the brand, not necessarily even the agency. And is it better? And you've just got me thinking everywhere now. My brain is ping-ponging here. Is it better to focus on the clients who engage for taking advantage of opportunities versus solving business problems? I don't know. I don't know if it's better or if it isn't. What do you think?
What do you mean? The opportunities versus problems? Is that
Vers-
right?
yeah, I mean, because so what you laid down there a second ago was what can we do under the best what are the great results we can achieve assuming the best of circumstances. And so that's obviously a high bar. So what agencies do better just to focus on brands that have new business opportunities or looking for expansion or growth or versus brands that are looking to dig themselves out of a hole because you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, here's the thing is that I actually I would say both.
Okay.
Want both really I want really painful $1 million, multi-million dollar problems. Um, like really expensive problems. And because they're looking for outside guidance for how to solve this because they don't know how to solve it themselves, or
Yeah.
they don't have the internal capabilities to drive it forth. What they're actually looking for is leadership. They're not looking for someone to come in and design all these assets for them or build a website. They're actually looking for someone who can lead them through where they're at now to where they're going. And that might include digital assets. It might include a website.
Right.
It might include a branding strategy and all those things. It'll include all the services that you do, but they're ultimately looking for a really as bold leadership, which is also, by the way, why it's very difficult to get out of client services sometimes because the CEO that is known for like that bold leadership. They know they can lead them through that, but their team doesn't know how to do that. And the reason why is because their team is trained on accomplishing tactical deliverables. They're trained
Mhm.
on tactics. They're not trained on the big picture thinking on how to solve these bigger problems. And the reason why they just haven't defined them. So to go back to your question, do we want bigger outcomes or problems? We want both. And
Okay.
because here's the thing is what's going to motivate the company and and also what will work in outbound sales is pain. Nothing but pain will like an outcome will also be interesting, but what will really move someone is pain. And
Mhm.
if you're not sure on that, think about how you make decisions and the things that you choose to stall on and choose things that you delay versus the things that you have to happen right now. Like that's how your prospects are making decisions. So we have to be able to position our services in a way where we are solving their hair on fire problem. Your services have to be to include that if you want to build urgency, especially right now in this market. What I'm
Mhm.
actually sharing is works better in down markets or perceived down markets. I don't want to. There's a perception there's a down market.
Got it.
Um, but the bigger outcome though is why they will choose your company over someone else's. It's for you sharing, hey, you know what? We work with we work with B2B tech companies to be able to take firms from $10 million to $100 million companies that they can be able to become acquired. Like that might be an example of an outcome that you do, and you're showing this is a multi-year pathway that is a timeline for what these companies go from 0 to 100 million. This is how uh, this is how we think about these services. Oh, and you have this problem right now. Oh, you happen to be in stage 2 right here. okay, we're going to solve this problem for you. And then after that point, we'll be able to help you go to 100 million from there. I mean,
Mhm.
I'm just giving an example of like how it's different, that how your thought leadership can be focused around that, as opposed to like the tactical things that they're coming and asking you for.
Mhm. I very much appreciate the perspective that the leadership that agencies can provide to their clients is a big component of the profitability of that relationship, right? You're going to be able to extract way more profitable relationships in situations where you have deep expertise, your unique advantage, to use your terminology, and the confidence to demonstrate that leadership consistently with the client. Because if they didn't need it, they wouldn't need you, right? And I love that. Um, what do you say to the agency though that is feeling cash strapped or is midstream with a lot of these contracts or relationships that maybe are not their sweet spot, but they're
Stuck in
they're
that.
bringing in cash flow and the agency's feeling vulnerable about turning away from that business in
Yeah.
favor of, making bigger plays.
Well, I would just look at what's really important is to understand where you're going, what you want to actually create.
Mhm.
And I think a lot of agencies, particularly in the lower seven figures, get themselves stuck in this trap. And most of them won't do anything about it until there is a massive, massive fire, everything's falling apart, and then they'll make an action. And by that point, it is such a freaking cluster, you know what, that it is like, I wish they would just get clear on what they wanted and make decisions faster on this. Um, what we see is that these smaller agencies are actually they're moving faster. They are, and they're actually more profitable than these larger ones, these larger bloated companies that will, um, they have a lot of challenges going on in their company. And a lot of times they have the wrong team members,
Mhm.
but they don't really know they have the wrong team members because they haven't really defined on where they actually want to go and where they want to be at. If they want to be right where they're at, continuing to create exactly the results and the profit they're getting right now, then continue to do exactly what you're doing. But I see a lot of situations where there, especially around 2021, a lot of agencies staffed up. They brought in a lot of team members because they had this big flux of growth and they're like, oh, we're doing so great. When really what they were doing is they were just following the market. And then they staffed up to a point where now they have these bloated organizations that can't support the structure. And the people weren't even that great at the time anyway, because part of what was going on is there was such a staff shortage that you were overpaying for talent and not being quite as picky. You just didn't have a lot of options for staff. We started
Mhm.
going and hiring overseas at this time because it was such a staffing was such a problem in the States. So I feel like I'm just going off in a whole different angle. So I hope I'm not going down a rabbit hole, but
No, well, maybe, but I'll try to hold you back if I think you're going too
um,
deep down it. No, I mean it all relates, right?
yeah, so but to answer your question though, and get back on track to your question, is that you need to understand where you want to actually go and start making those decisions based upon that standing in that future state and that vision, as opposed to the current circumstances right now, which can be difficult because you're feeling all the emotions of the current circumstances. Maybe you're burnt out. Maybe the profits aren't what you were hoping for, and you've got this team here, but they're not. You're still stuck in the middle of a lot of things, and it's a pretty stressful place to be at.
Mhm.
But you have to have the willingness to actually stand for what you're creating, and be willing to, like, yes, there's this company that has to be stable into this, and you have to stabilize this because your cash flow and everything, but ultimately to transform that company, you have to be willing to make some hard decisions. And
Right.
you have to be willing to say that we're going to change the way that we were operating because it's not giving us what we want. And if they're not willing to do that, ultimately you're going to have to be willing to be bold, willing to build a pipeline in a different way than you've done before. willing to look back at your results. And I think that the easiest way to make that transition is actually when things are really tough, because the risk that you feel of disrupting what you've built feels a lot less risky than continuing on.
That's so true. I'm quiet because I'm digesting everything you say and just top line thinking about how I can think of 5 agencies immediately to whom this applies. I can even look at my own business and say, we're a professional service firm. And we have a lot of the same challenges and pressures that a marketing service firm does. So I can see myself in what you're saying as well. Um, it does come down to being crystal about what you want and what looks like success for you. And then after that, figuring out what your unique advantage is and being bold about pushing that out into the world and letting some of this other this other noise sort of fall by the wayside. It's very crystal when you lay it out that way, and not so crystal in the day to day when you're trying to figure out how to make payroll and pay your expenses. And um, so I totally get that it's a mindset shift, and I totally respect the bravery required for an agency leader to work through it. And I'm grateful to you for calling out the fact that this is a tough business model. It just is. It's a legacy business model that is increasingly harder and harder to justify the sensibility of, and AI is just going to make it even harder over the next few years to do.
And what I'm hoping, I know I just said I was doing a little that.
Yeah, let's talk about something jolly
But
and
what
let's start to.
I actually want people to hear though is that business model sucks. But if coming on the other side and taking brave choices will give you an unbelievably incredible business that will I've seen agencies increase their net profit 600%. Tom, one of our clients, he came on our podcast and shared how this has led our company to be able to increase 600% profit. He was actually at that place that you're describing. And he chose to make the bold decisions required. They had a great agency. They were having great results. But it's just that they weren't clear enough on who their best client was and what their invisible advantage was and what conditions they needed to create to make that happen every time. And when they did that, they were able to consistently bring in all the top level clients and build a process around that and make that be consistent rather than just when they were lucky and they got a good referral at the high level.
Do you have any data based on all the agencies that your firm has helped on how long it would take a small independent agency to phase out the right number of non-sweet spot contracts or relationships and phase in the the good sweet spot, high lifetime value potential client relationships in for an agency?
Yes. Okay. And I'm going to use two words that I absolutely hate. And
Yeah.
it depends. And it depends on,
Oh, lawyers say that every day, sister, so go for it.
no. So it depends on a number of factors for how many clients you have. But I think the most important thing, and this is one of the steps that we take with our clients in the 12-week process we walk them through, is we use a profit calculator to help them see how much profit they make per client. And they're looking at and it's a big picture overview that helps them see that the way that they're operating right now, they're generating this amount of profit per client. Now, just one of those clients, they can see that one new client can be more profitable than 3 or 4 clients that they might be serving right now. But when you're looking at that right there, it's a matter of, it's a huge mindset thing. We have to put the numbers on paper because that helps them shift the mindset around this, because it can feel scary having prospects come to you and you going and saying no when they have money in hand and ready to give to you.
Right.
When you're like, oh, but we could do this, we could make this work for them. I know that they seem a little bit pushy, but I think we need the money, right? And that versus I'm going to hold out and bring on the clients that to fill our limited capacity. That's
Mhm.
the other problem. They fill their capacity with all these clients. They don't have time to actually go and bring on the right type of clients.
Right.
So they have to be willing to actually close the clients they can deliver the very best results for. So to answer your question, one new client can actually be enough to make you feel confident letting go some of the other ones, but it's really a mindset thing. And I don't
Mm.
think that's going to be enough. Like if we actually just ran the numbers, I'll just give you one example of an agency. She actually, for her company, in the multiple seven figures already. And just from one mindset shift that she had coming to our hands-off CEO retreat, she was able to see that the level of value that they were providing, and the next proposal that went out, they added $200,000 to the exact same proposal, didn't change anything except for adding $200,000 extra to the proposal. And her team took it, they sold it, and it added $200,000 of additional profit right there. Didn't change anything else, right? So how many clients could she replace with that?
Yeah. But she had done the work before she made that decision to change that number, right? I mean, she
What do
had
you mean?
done the work and done the internal examination of the value
Actually,
that they bring.
she had
Yeah.
not, in this case, she had actually not done anything.
Is that what I thought you were gonna say?
No, what I'm saying is that I'm saying this was 100% a mindset shift. Like,
Wow.
so I'm in her case, I'm not saying that you should go and do this, but I'm just giving you an example of
Thank you.
like,
I was gonna clarify that if you didn't. Okay,
no,
cool.
you should not do that. You should go and do the internal work. But here's the thing though, is that she knew, she's like, oh my gosh, I'm seeing this level, we are way undercharging for this.
Yeah.
We need to be adding $200,000 for the value on this, and they sold the project. That was, and that, so, but that being said, that doesn't deal with the whole human like head trash of like, need new sales, and not, and forgetting the fact that we just added $200,000 of profit. Like, you forget about that stuff and you kind of go back into that old mindset of like, need new clients. But so you have to be rewiring your brain
Right.
into this, into this, into this state where you're creating this vision and you're standing in your vision with a delusional level of certainty that it's already done.
Yeah. Right. As informed by the data that you should be able to get your hands on if you're even if you're not looking at it on a regular basis, right? I
Well,
mean,
I wouldn't, here's the thing is that I actually think it's more important for you to actually know what you want. Most companies know what they don't want.
yeah.
Everybody can, people in general, we all know what we don't want. But
Mhm.
it takes a lot more courage to actually say, this is what I do want. I'm taking a stand for that. I don't have no idea how I'm actually going to be able to get there, but that's what I want. And that's my new reality. And sitting in that in a delusional level of certainty and getting the support to be able to do that. Like, we help our clients be able to fill in the gaps between that, but holding that vision, it's more important than knowing how.
I
I,
love it.
it's a controversial, it's a little controversial way of looking at things.
No, it lands so well with me, and I think it is stuff that agency owners and leaders need to absorb and think about. And it is sort of a calming factor in a storm of a lot of stuff that agency owners that we have to acknowledge are going through right now. And as you graciously acknowledged earlier, in terms of the way the business model is changing. So I actually like your mindset first approach personally, and I think there's a lot of people listening here who needed to hear it. So I'm so
Well,
grateful to you for it. Where can folks come to learn more about what Hands Off CEO can do for their agencies and learn more about the work that you do with them?
yeah, so if anyone, I would encourage you to reach out, connect with me on LinkedIn. We publish a lot of content on LinkedIn, Mandi Ellefson, Mandiellefson. I know it's a bit of a mouthful, but you can find me on LinkedIn. And just feel free to reach out and say hi. I also have this revenue recovery map that, what it helps you be able to do is helps you be able to have the conversations with existing clients to be able to see these opportunities and be able to generate more profit with your existing clients right now, and also reactivate some of your past opportunities to be able to find another $10,000 to $30,000 of extra revenue right there. So if you go to handsoffceo.com/map, then you can download this revenue recovery map, and it has like exact scripts for like, this is exactly what you can send to your, this is what you can send to your client. This is what you can say to your next client meeting tomorrow to be able
Yeah,
to open up that conversation for bigger
amazing.
budgets, bigger opportunities.
Amazing. Mandy, so good to have you again with your expertise and your generosity. And it's been a great conversation and one that I certainly took a lot of notes of. And I know that agency owners are going to take away a lot from as well. So thank you for your generosity as always. And it was great to talk with you again. And thanks the rest of you for joining us again on Innovative Agency. I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. And until then, everybody be well.